everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. Um, this was an interesting read for me. This was a very just like up and down. Like there was like parts that I was like, okay, this is okay. And then there was like parts like I'm so bored, like it's just not going anywhere. But I also do think it's kind of I wouldn't say like an important read, but if you want to read like like kind of like a modern classic, I think is what this is considered, and kind of get this idea of like how men viewed women during that period. I think this is a good reputation of that. This bad guy pretty much falls in love with a girl, and then the girl falls in love with his friend, and he dies, and there's like a couple other women. What really intrigued me about this is the title, which is Norwegian Wood, which is a song by the Beatles that is kind of mentioned throughout this whole story. There's other things that are mentioned throughout this whole story. A lot of it is Beatles related. So if you are a Beatles fan, this might actually be kind of an interesting read to kind of get the idea of where he might be going with those references. Now, the song Norwegian Wood is about a guy and a girl. The girl takes the guy to her place for the first time, and it's kind of like this awkward experience. Like, okay, now I can't go home, but I can't sleep in your bed, so I'm gonna sleep in the bathtub. Type of song where I think it fits with the idea of it's like this awkward time, because this is written when the first part of it is when they're in college, and it's like about this awkward time when you're in college and you're finally starting to get to the point where you're trying to find yourself, and how difficult that can be without your parents like nagging you about like who you're spending your time with and stuff like that. And this is a very good portrait of that. Sorry guys, I need to readjusting here. But once you get to the idea where you're kind of going past that, that's kind of where it dies down. He also does mention the book The Catcher in the Rye, which I have read. I feel like they're very similar. I feel like they're talking about very similar points in a man's life where you're trying to figure out how you want to treat women and how you view women and stuff like that, and how women can use you as much as you can use them. Because Catcher in the Rye has a scene where he finds a lady of the night, and she kind of uses him in a very weird way. I can't remember the whole scene. It's been a while since I've read Catcher in the Rye. But both books represent kind of a man's introduction to women and how they view women. This is very female gazy. I don't feel like Catcher in the Rye was like that. There's a couple of scenes, because it is from a boy's point of view, like you do hear about stuff. This is more so. This is a grown man talking about women and their attributes. And there was parts that were like kind of endearing, and then there was parts that were kind of disgusting. And that's what I think kind of, if you were to get like a stream of consciousness, which is both Catcher in the Rye and this, from a male's perspective, I think you're going to get some of that, like, I view women like as goddesses and superior, and then you see them as lesser than. Like, I think, especially when we're talking about the 80s, like, this book was written, he mentions the 60s stuff, but I can't remember. 1987. Originally published in Japan in 2 volumes in 1987. So you're starting to get, I feel like, more of a modern take, but at the same time, it's an 80s man looking at his history in the 60s. When he was in college. That's why I think we get a lot of Beatles references and stuff like that. Because obviously, Beatles was one of the biggest bands in the 60s. So, you get a lot of that. And the negativity towards women. Because I think if this book was written today, I mean, there's a whole bunch of trigger warnings anyway. Like, every trigger warning in here is in here. There's actually offing somebody, there's suicidal tensions and stuff like that, as well, as much as there is, like, all the sexual stuff in here. If this was written today, I don't even know if it would have been as big. I think for where it is, it's very progressive. It's a very progressive look. But at the same time, like Catcher in the Rye, this guy is not great either. Like, he's not somebody I would want to personally spend time with. And I don't mind moral gray characters, but this guy was just kind of disgusting. And I think that's kind of Murakami's thing that a lot of people kind of complain about, is that he has, like, he talks about the female body in, like, such weird ways where I'm like, okay, was this a necessary conversation? We can have a different conversation. Because I felt like I didn't really get to know the women as women. I saw them as, like, objects and everything else. And then I knew their music taste. Because Norwegian Wood is played again and again and again. So it's like he's living this awkward moment in his life again and again and again. If you take that song and put it in the context of what the song is. Strawberry Fields is mentioned. There's a couple other ones, which was kind of a weird one. I don't even know where to place it. To me, it's like this. Strawberry Fields, the song, is like this ideal world. Like, who wouldn't want to sit in a field of strawberries? And that's kind of what I think is trying to be mentioned in this, is, like, he's trying to find this ideal situation, but keeps on not getting past the awkwardness. And then he mentions The Great Gatsby, which is a book pretty much about obsession. And it everything he mentions, if you come across anything he mentions in this book, like, it explains this book in such a deeper way than really what the book is. To me, like, yes, he's obsessed with these women. Does he love these women? I don't know. I didn't really get that feeling. I got the feeling of a man obsessed with boobs. I read so much boob information in this book. I was like, okay, do they have any other body parts? So that was some of it too. So be aware of that, like, going into this, that it's not like a good reputation of what women are now. This is not a book written in the 21st century for women to be like, oh, men think of us so well. No. No. This guy sees boobs, and that's it. Um, and that's it. Like, really? Like, that's what I got from it. And I've heard mixed reviews. There's so many people that like this author. And then there's so many people that respect him. Like, I respected this book for what it was. And I think I'm being a little bit nicer to it than if I was reading a book that was written in 2024, 2025. Just because of the factor that I know how men saw women during this time period and the time period he's talking about. So, and like with what he's quoting, you can kind of see his intention. Like, you can't see his intention like in the book, but if you take out, if you focus on what he's like alluding to, like Strawberry Fields, Norwegian Wood, Great Gatsby, Catcher in the Rye, like, you can kind of see what the author's trying to get to. Um, I didn't feel like when I was legit reading the book, I took it after the fact of what he was alluding to. Like, he's trying, like, if you took it as all the references, you have Catcher in the Rye, which is about a young boy trying to find his way in life that hasn't had a good outline or anything. And then you have the Norwegian Wood song by the Beatles, which is about the most awkward time of your life. And then you have Strawberry Fields, which is like that ideal life that we want. And then you have The Great Gatsby, where I'm not gonna spoil The Great Gatsby, even though it's like the oldest thing that's probably mentioned here. But it's like the loss of the dream. Um, and everything else. So, and that's what I think like this is really about, is like, he wants this woman so bad, he's obsessed with her so much. And doesn't get her, and then is finally has a chance, and then gets that loss of a dream, you know. So this is gonna be a 3.5 for me. It wasn't very enjoyable. I didn't think I just wasn't feeling it. Like, I'm glad I got this book from the library, guys. Libraries saving my booty a lot recently, because I've been getting to read stuff like I wouldn't pick up at the bookstore, because I wouldn't excuse me, I wouldn't really pay for this. Even if it was just $1, I wouldn't really pay for this. This is not my genre. This is more of a literary fiction. Even though I used to like literary fiction a lot. But yeah, this wouldn't be something like I would go out my way to read. So thank goodness it was at the library. Some people really like this book. Like, don't have me be the person that deters you from reading this. I just thought, with being a Beatles fan, I had kind of a different perspective on some of the aspects of this book, and reading The Great Gatsby and reading Catcher in the Rye. But yeah, I was not impressed. Um, but if you want more book reviews, how I feel about Book of the Month, Illumicrate, how I feel about that, um, and stuff like that. I am pretty much right now, my schedule is Thursdays and Sundays. If I have extra videos, those go up kind of whenever I want it. But like and subscribe. I am kind of, I might do something different next month. Because I have another channel which is diamond art related that I might bring some of that over here and see if I can get some attention with it. If not, I might just, I don't know, with that channel, I might just keep going with it, but you know, have it just as a channel that doesn't get any views, I guess. But we will see. But yes, if you like and subscribe, and then if you have any opinions on this book, um, or anything at all that might change my mind about how I feel about stuff from this book, let me know. I'm not the only opinion out there. I know a lot of people do like this author and do like this book and hold it to high regards. So, yeah, if you have opinions, please, if you think I'm wrong, that is okay. Like, just because I listed this as a 3.5 and you say it's a 5, yeah, we're good. I would love to have that discussion. But anyways, bye, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.